basically how to select your topic and build on it going forward. I'm going to elaborate just a little bit on the theory or the processes behind it, and then Mrs. Orts will go through and give you some examples, some more practical stuff that you'll look at. So, okay, so we're going to start quite simply with your problem statement. So formulating and clarifying your topic is the first step in writing your research paper. All research originates with a good research question or problem. And this problem statement that you've identified will help you to then identify potential independent and dependent variables, as well as the scope of your research. So what elements of the topic would you like to focus on over others, as well as the context of your research, what type of setting you'd like to conduct this research in. And finally, if there are any demographic factors that are important. However, this is quite a broad overall topic rather than a simplified statement of what you're going to be studying. So my suggestion is then that you break down your problem statement into sub-problems. So this will make it a lot more easy to manage. And the aim is that by resolving the sub-problems, you will be able to resolve the main problem as a whole. So I've included this simple little example, which hopefully simplifies what I mean. If your problem statement is that only raw eggs are sold and there are no instructions on how to cook them, your main problem is then that raw eggs are inedible and serve no purpose to those who do not know how to cook them. Your sub-problems will then be, are instructions on how to cook an egg available? If so, how does one access those instructions? Where would one source cooking apparatus such as a pan? And how does one gain access to a heat source? So you'll see in answering these sub-problems, you're basically answering the main problem as a whole, and just breaking it down simplifies it. So it's not an overwhelming problem that you have to approach. If you are focusing more on quantitative research, you will then move forward from your problem statement into a hypothesis. So the definition I have for that is that it acts as a tentative explanation for a phenomenon under investigation, or attempting to identify a reasonable solution for an event or an occurrence. Simply put, you'll be looking for the most reasonable explanation or your reasonable guess, considering the context that's available to you. So I have another little example. The occurrence is that you get an elevated water bill from City Water, and you've not changed the way that you utilize water in your household. So you're wondering how this can be. So the most reasonable guesses or hypotheses that you have available to you is then that there might be a water leak on your property. There's been a clerical error on the part of City Power, or you are unaware of the increased water usage by the other occupants of your household. Maybe they're having a sprinkler party when you're not there and you're not aware of it. But these are the most reasonable guesses or hypotheses that are available to you, considering what you know. Moving quickly along. So once you've identified this problem and you've come up with the problem statement that you want to focus on for your research, you can begin to formulate your research questions. These questions will be much more pointed than your problem statement. The research questions define exactly what you are trying to find out. It will influence most of the steps that you take when you are conducting your research. So the formulation of these research questions will act as a directive when it comes to making decisions on what literature you read, how you're going to narrow your search down. It will also influence or give you an idea of the research methodology that you might use, as well as the data collection method. So as you read through the research and one research idea, one research idea leads you to another article that gives you a little bit more insight. And in doing so, you grow the overall idea of what you want to study. It will give you a clearer idea of which data selection or which research methodology is best suited to study this particular problem. Okay, some recommendations for your research questions. Definitely keep them concise, clear, and self-explanatory. And what I mean by that is do not overcomplicate them. Don't fill them up with lots of jargon. Just keep it as simple as possible. Remember, they are your directives, so you want them to be as quickly and easily understood as possible. The next area will be, so once you go along with your research, you might come across theories that might explain your problem. So you can attempt to include these in your research question, but what I do suggest is only utilize them if they are valid and needed in your research. So you don't need to just include theory for the sake of including theory. Make sure that they are actually relevant to what you're trying to find out. And finally, try to make your research questions operationalized. It might seem a little bit complicated, but it's simply about clearly identifying the relevant variables to your research problem. And then some other considerations that you might have are the research gap that this project will address. So there might be a lot of research out there on this particular topic, but what sets your research apart? What makes it a little bit different from all the research out there? Maybe it's as simple as the context. So you are doing research on employee well-being, but previous articles or previous research has only focused on females in the workplace, and you want to see how wellness programs affect demographically amongst males and females, and so that would be your gap in the research. Definitely look at the time constraints attached to your research project in the form of deadlines. You receive those on Monday, so definitely keep that in the back of your head as you're going forward. Know when things have to be in, and don't take on more than you can at this time. And then also expenses in the form of finances and time needed to complete the project. On Monday, I spoke a little bit about ethics. And in that ethics seminar, I spoke about utilizing as little of your own monies as possible, in that you have resources available to you like SurveyMonkey, Google Docs, as well as Zoom. So definitely keep that in mind when you're choosing your topic. How are you going to access these participants and get the information that you need to complete the project, as well as the time needed to complete the project? And what I mean by that is, I know that a lot of you are working, so definitely keep in mind a work-home study balance, and make sure that you are not taking on more than you are capable of at this time. And then last but not least, the ethical considerations you'll have depending on your chosen research. Always be aware of them, make sure that you state them, and definitely if you've identified an ethical consideration from the very beginning, make sure that you are looking for solutions, that you're aware of it, and that you do state it even at the proposal level. Just a little bit of a note that I put in, your research questions are not your interview questions. So whether you are doing quantitative or qualitative research, you will not include your research questions as a question on your questionnaire or as part of your interview. These questions are your directive. So this is the question that you are trying to answer, not the question that the recipient has to answer. The information that you gain from them will be utilized to answer this research question, but this is for you. This is a step in the process towards you answering the question. And then finally, I have some categories of research questions, and I've presented little examples to hopefully clarify them. So the first type is exploratory questions, and these are used to make preliminary investigations into a relatively unknown area. It doesn't have to be an unknown area, but it's definitely that preliminary question that allows you to delve a little bit deeper. And an example I have of that is Instagram an effective marketing tool for small businesses? The next category of research questions is descriptive, and these are used to seek accurate observations and aims to describe a phenomenon. So the example I have for that is, how has bullying affected the experience of women in male-dominated industries? So you see, we're looking at specifically the experiences of women and their observation, their experiences within this industry. And finally, explanatory. These research questions are used to study a situation or a problem to explain the relationship between variables. So, is there a correlation between the adoption of flexible working hours and an increase in employee productivity? That is it for me for now. I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Orts, and she's going to delve a little bit deeper into the topics and give you a couple of examples on how to finalize that research topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the explanation, Fai. I think it was quite interesting to see the different types of research questions, the exploratory questions, and so forth, and how from there you only get to build on your topic and actually deciding what your topic should be. So if we look at topic selection, how to select a good topic. Some of the things that you need to consider is picking a topic that is interesting to you. So you will be spending quite a lot of time researching and reading about your topic, asking questions about your topic. So if you pick something that you are not interested in and is quite boring to you, you will not enjoy your studies and your research project. So pick something that you are genuinely interested in. Also pick something that's current. Remember, research is about creating new knowledge. So don't go and look for things that is almost generally known. Pick something that's relevant right now and relevant and current to you at this very moment. Picking your topic is research. So it is not as simple as just deciding on a topic. You actually have to go and explore a little bit, find and read resources of that topic that is of interest to you. And if you find that from that topic that there is not really a lot of resources, then you might have to consider something else as a topic for your research project, because if there isn't resources, literature available of a topic that is of interest to you, then you will struggle with your literature review, and it will make it more difficult for you to complete the project. Like I said, your topic is research. So you will start off with a draft of your topic, and as you conduct some further research, you will tweak and change that topic, and you'll repeat this step as many times as you need to get to a final topic. And then remember also with qualitative studies, your topic will most likely change as you continue with the research process. So what will happen is during your interviews, you might find that different themes emerge from your questions to your respondents and participants. And in that way, your topic will change. Where with quantitative studies, usually what you start off with, once your final topic has been approved, is what will remain your topic throughout your research. So one method that you can use to decide on a topic is brainstorming. What you can do is think of words that are associated with your topic. For example, if your main topic is employee wellness, then you need to think of words that can be associated with employee wellness. For example, stress, anxiety, burnout, employee assistance programs, ergonomics, COVID-19, and so forth. Here we look at a research aim. Your aim for your study might be to determine what impact COVID-19 has on the stress and anxiety levels of primary school teachers at a public school. And now what you'll see, we just tweak it a little bit and turn it into an actual topic after we've established our research aim, where we now say investigating the impact of COVID-19 on the stress and anxiety levels of primary school teachers at the public school. When you select and formulate your topic, it's important that you frame it with what you want to investigate, who to investigate, and where to investigate. So let's look at this example of a topic, investigating the impact of COVID-19 on the stress and anxiety levels of primary school teachers at a public school. So what is it that you want to investigate? The impact of COVID-19 on the stress and anxiety levels. Who are you investigating? Who is your population? That will be primary school teachers. And where are you planning to investigate at a public school. So you can see how this topic has been framed with what, who, and where. Also ensure that your topic is measurable, current, and feasible. Using that same example, what is it that we want to measure? So we want to look at the impact. What impact does COVID-19 specifically have on stress and anxiety levels on primary school teachers? So we're not looking at other effects such as stress at home. We want to look at certain impacts of COVID-19. The topic is current. I think it's a recent global pandemic with lots of new findings coming out almost daily. And it's also something that's feasible because your study is narrowed down to primary school teachers at one public school. And there is, although it is a recent topic, there is quite a lot of literature available already on the subject of COVID-19 that you can use. So therefore, this topic is a feasible and plausible possible topic. Let's look at another example. Investigating the relationship between workplace flexibility and employee well-being in academic staff at a distance education provider. Here we see that you can once again break up your topic into what you are investigating, namely the relationship between workplace flexibility and employee well-being. So you want to find out what is the correlation. You want to measure the correlation between workplace flexibility and on employee well-being. Who will you investigate? That will be academic staff. So you'll focus on the academic staff, not on admin staff or financial staff or other staff such as maintenance. And where are you planning to investigate? At a distance education provider. So you can see that that is quite specific. I am going to show you another example, and if there is someone that would like to answer, you can just raise your hand. This example, I would like to know if you think this is a good topic or a poorly structured topic and why. So just want to see if there's anyone that would like to answer. The statement is investigating conflict management styles of workers. Okay, so in my opinion, this topic is very broad and it needs to be a bit more specific. So let's read it again. Investigating conflict management styles of workers. So it doesn't really give you a lot of information on who the workers are and where these workers are working. So a better way to structure this topic would be investigating the conflict management styles, that's the what, of junior management staff, that's the who, working in private higher education institutions, and that is the where. Now looking again at another example, the effect of talent management practices on employee retention at the South African Reserve Bank. Is there anyone that would like to try and analyze this with a who, what, and where? Okay, so when I analyze this topic, I believe that it is quite adequate because it tells us what to investigate. So that would be the effect of talent management practices on employee retention. It also tells us who to investigate. So it will be people working at the South African Reserve Bank. I see that could be probably a little bit better stated, maybe indicating exactly who working at the South African Reserve Bank, for example, admin staff or IT staff, and it also tells you what you want to measure. So you want to measure the effect of talent management practices on employee retention. And this is also quite a current and feasible topic. So the only suggestion that I have with this topic is that it specifies more on who you want to focus. Is it, will it be all the staff working? Because that's what it looks like if I look at this example, because it doesn't specify. So to narrow it down, it might be a good idea to say it will be only on admin staff. But if it's a very small organization, then it could be quite adequate just focusing on the company as a whole. Now we have another example, investigating performance management. So with this statement here, it's not very clear on where we intend to do the study and on who. So it's very broad and therefore not really an adequate topic. A better way to structure it would be to say measuring junior staff members' perception of performance management systems in a Gauteng manufacturing company. So here we can say it's getting a little bit more detailed. So we will be focusing on junior staff and what will we measure? The perception of performance management system and where will this study take place? At a Gauteng manufacturing company. So it is quite specific in the context of where geographically this would be and what type of company it will be in. Okay, so that is the examples that I have. So I would like to open the floor now for questions and discussions. Maybe you have some ideas around the topic that you want to do, and then we can maybe talk about that a little bit.